but we would like to present our project, which is called Smart Energy Well. So which challenges would you like to tackle? Well, there's like generally increasing energy demand, and we would like to move to low carbon economy, of course. So there's like to solve problems like the peak demands, which you can oh, no, that was the wrong one. Which you can see here. And we've got like here renewable energy production, and that doesn't always fit with the peak demands. So there's like wasted energy with all the intermittent renewable energy that is produced. So if we could actually be more efficient with that, how we use that, we could really reduce our carbon footprint, which was like in 2012 151.6 megatons like from energy production. So our goal with our project, which we'll present later, is to raise awareness about our energy consumption. How much do we actually consume? And we would like to shift that energy demand peak, that not everyone is using energy at the same time, so that we can also like take more advantage of excess renewable energy, which is produced and can't be stored, like wind and solar power. So I hand over to Claudia.
So yeah. Oops, Daisy, could you put the presentation back on? So it's back, it's here. So the basic idea is to change people's understanding of where energy comes and what energy is through design. So who here has any idea what 400 kilowatts hours is? It's a number, it's something very abstract. But when I say that 400 kilowatts hours is 50 kilograms of coal, it starts to become concrete, it starts to become something we can relate to. So now energy is something that comes from your power socket. However, I believe that through design, we can change people's understanding of where energy is coming from, and through that, we can reduce people's consumptions. So one of the things we can do that is redesign the energy bill. Rather than just telling them, here's the energy, here's how much you have to pay for, we can tell them how much you consumed compared to your neighbors. That's a suggestion of the nudge report from the behavioral branch of the government. We can tell them where that energy came from and when that energy was used, so they know sort of more concretely what that energy is. Also, one of the things we can do is make a video game that engages them in the process of energy creation and energy usage. And our inspiration is a video game called the McDonald's video game, where it's sort of an ironic take on McDonald's policies of deforestation and feeding really bad feeds to cows. I would recommend playing this, it's pretty fun. It shows the whole life cycle of food from cow to burger. So now we have something like this, where you can see all the statistics of the UK grid. However, who understands this? Oh wow, well done. This should be redesigned something like, this is a project called Massive Health by Azaraskin, who basically, you can see this, green means healthy, red means unhealthy. During the day, the US eats very healthily. During the night, everyone eats unhealthily. You can easily understand it in 5 seconds. Lots of data about people's health. So this is the basic idea, redesigning our communication of energy. So now I'll pass on to Mark, who will talk about who our key partners are and how we're actually going to get this into the market.
Okay, so actually want to involve some very key partners in the company, in the industry. Here in the UK, they call themselves the Big Six, I don't know why. But we intend to, preferably, sorry, oops, what happened?
I think it's like...
Just don't click on this.
Okay, preferably we intend to involve SSC because they are the largest generators of renewable energy here in the UK. Pass on to
yeah,
right here.
And the things that is we are going to make an apps for cell phones to use these kind of things. But the next step is to generalize these kind of apps and these kind of technologies for the people, elderly people, or the people who don't have a academic education. It's the most feasible for them, and they can understand what's going on in these kind of apps. And I think what's the things that makes data more feasible and more understandable is that instead of putting the numbers, these kilowatt, to show them bars and charts, and don't use a lot of buttons in our apps, and to put a voice support for the how does our application works. And the things that is we don't need all the people have the smartphones or something like this. We can use of the smart electricity meter, which is going to be put in all the houses in the UK, and we can have this kind of the smart electricity meter, which touch screen that will be put in all the houses, and all the people can understand, see how much they use the energy in a day, and they can see at the specific moment how much is their bill in these days, and how much they're going to behave. And there will be some tips for the more efficient usage of energy in these apps. And the power lines of their 24 hours usage, for example, in the peak times they use these amounts of energy, and the times that is not peak, how much they are going to use the energy. And are these kind of smart meters safe? And according to the DECC, they are the same safety program as the mobile phones. And with these kind of apps and technology, we are going to avoid the people behavior usage of electricity in the peak times. And as our research shows that 94 dollars per kilowatt annually is the peak, is the amounts of the money that the government will pay for the peak amounts. And if the people behavior change for these amounts usage of energy in the peak time, we can save these amounts of money. And for the UK, it was for the US, and for the UK peak demand is daily 50 gigawatt, and average demand is 30 gigawatt. And if we change the behavior to this, we can reach to the point that save that amount of huge money from the government. And on the other side, we can save the, if we reduce the production of energy, on the other side, we reduce the CO2 emissions.
I'm afraid we'll have to finish here now. That was excellent. I'm sure there's quite a few questions. Thank you.
I'll kick it off. So yeah, great presentation. I think this is also a topic that's very relevant for the islands in the Caribbean, because the whole demand side management, in particular when you work in small systems, which they typically are, that's a huge issue that we're dealing with. One of the questions that I had for you is, if I understand it correctly, you're looking at using the application to help shift demand, or are you also looking at reducing demand, or are you trying to do both?
Both of them. The change of the behavior cause the change, the decrease in the demand in the peak time.
So essentially, if people know when peak time is, they might move sort of the big loads in off-peak time. If they have a traffic light system,
and then that's exactly my point, because when you look at it from a carbon footprint point of view, if all they do is shifting, but the power generated is still fossil-based, so are you also, how are you trying to account for that, or how are you?
We're actually trying to put several things in that app, or what it is, kind of giving them live data when it's like more renewable energy produced, which you can use, but also when it's the peak demand, we try to avoid it. But also some features where we give advice how to save energy, also maybe a forum. But we also thought, like, by reading your meters every day, we'll also like kind of raise awareness that you actually know, oh, I used so much energy today. And when you can compare, like for example, on an average, if the application is showing you were above the average what you used or below with it, and it goes towards a behavioral change of people becoming more aware of what they actually use.
The behavioral change group did a report saying that if you know how you compared with your neighbors, there's actually a bias for people to change their behavior if they use more than their neighbors. So
you're really looking at sharing it, or the benchmark that you're comparing yourself with is at the neighborhood level, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we are going some kind of apps going to have two kinds of light. For example, if it's green in our apps, you can use up more energy. For example, turn on your my washing machine or something like this. It's yellow, be careful about usage, or if it's red, don't use its peak time, or something like this will help to our customers to use.
And it must be correlated with the amount, like in the Caribbean, I assume you have quite a lot of renewables, or at least the potential for a lot of renewables. So green could be when there's a lot of renewable power available in the grid, which is low carbon, sort of people use that, so auxiliary generators don't have to kick in.
Can I just say again, I think it's yet another group that's spot on with the issue. I think this is absolutely, UK's approach to this has been stupid really down the years. You know, we keep building massive infrastructure and never asking ourselves these very questions. I don't know if you agree though, I think there's two things for me, and one is about a social issue that we already know poor people self-disconnect when they have meters. And there is a danger perhaps of people basically saying to themselves, well, I can't afford to have my heating on during the World Cup. So I'm, you know, because I now know that so there's maybe something there. I also think, I don't know if you'd agree, there's something about regulation here. So it's obvious why people would want to do this. It's obvious why UK PLC would want to do this. But power companies make an awful lot of their money from peak. And so there'd have to be, I think, some intervention from government. I see you all nodding. Yeah.
Just think
You know,
why
something there to make the power companies do this, because otherwise they will sort of keep
the
us
question
quiet.
to add on to that is, why do you think the bills are so complex?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, and you've got to try to find the low-lying fruit, keeping with the fruit theme, but you need to find the person who is trying to get into that market, who's trying to add that little bit extra, that added product that can help deal with the big six, providing that valuable information. You've also got a whole lot of ethical and sort of business critical information and sharing energy data between people in neighbourhoods, and that's a huge issue that from an efficacy perspective, you'd have to really get into that as well. So.
It can also be sort of, instead of having the actual data, you can just have simulated data. So your neighbourhood, a neighbourhood like yours uses this, which will sidestep that issue, yet still help change the behaviour.
I guess the only other thing I want to add is I think there's been an amazingly high standard of projects and that have been fantastic, and I think what's really good about this is that you have a really strong vision. It's really innovative. You're thinking about the delivery and how people will actually be able to interact with the system, and this whole idea of redesigning the energy bill is really fantastic and change through design. So I just wanted to compliment you for that, everyone, but I think this was particularly really spot on that as well.
Okay. I just want to make some quick comments. I think your idea is really a very powerful one. I think it can go beyond the applications that you're currently seeing. I mean, when I listen to all the other presentations, I think that there's a space in each of those for what you're talking about. Because not only are you looking at shifting in terms of people's behavior, but also in terms of monitoring. And all these projects, whether it's energy-based or packaging or how you sell things, they all come down to looking to reduce the carbon footprint. And what you're talking about has the ability to therefore monitor, to look at the effectiveness of any program. So I think that your tool is absolutely powerful, and you should really explore, links with other groups that are presenting different things, but at the end of the day, we're talking about looking at that carbon footprint. So I think that you've got a very powerful tool.
So in the end, sort of, there's tools, the technological tool that allows us to be more mindful using the data about what we actually do, what we actually consume, produce. And is that right? Or is that in the lines of what you're saying? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.